Hello, and welcome back to another live show here at TGR Exotics, located in Spring, Texas. Today we have my buddy Scrappy here. He is a white ruffed lemur. Let's see if we can get in, look over a little bit. So, lemurs, like him, are known as prosimians. Oh, he's starting to get in my little basket of food. So they are prosimians, which are part of the primate order, and they are really closely related to us, although they don't really look like it. They come from the island of Madagascar, which I had the pleasure of going to last summer. I spent a couple months there following these guys and a couple other species of lemur around in the rainforests, and had a lovely opportunity to meet a bunch of great researchers and hang out in a really cool facility called CVB in Ranomafana National Park. So while I was there, I got to see these guys, and like I said, they're known as white ruffed lemurs. So lemurs came to the island of Madagascar about 60 million years ago. And apparently they traveled over on a small vegetative-like raft from Africa. There, they landed on the island and found that they have no predators, and lemurs were able to diversify into hundreds of species, filling different types of ecological niches. So you have some lemurs that live in deserts, and some that live in spiny forests, and some like this guy that live in rainforests. So, after they got there and started to diversify into a bunch of different species, we got people or animals like this guy here. So some characteristics that are interesting about him are their extremely long tail. They can get up to about 4 feet long, with over half their body length being just in the tail. They are the second largest lemur on Madagascar, and they can get up to 5 to 10 pounds when fully grown. And there's no size difference between the males and the females. So some other interesting characteristics are they have wet noses, similar to your dogs or your cats, which help with being able to smell better. They have a higher sense of smell than most other primates because of this, and this helps with them foraging and finding other food in the rainforest. They also have a cool adaptations that other prosimians have. They have what's called a toilet claw on their back feet that's used for grooming, and they also have 6 teeth on their bottom jaw that are called comb teeth, and it basically just looks like a little comb that they use to mutually groom and self-groom with other people in their groups. So now that we went over their characteristics, we'll go a little bit into their nutrition. So lemurs, like this white ruffed lemur here, generally tend to be frugivorous, which means that they eat fruits. They eat a lot of the fruit that's blooming throughout the wet season in the rainforests on the East Coast, and they will dabble into eating some leaves during the drier seasons, and they also eat a lot of nectar. So these guys are actually the largest pollinators in the world. You see their white ruffs on the side, and their fox-like snouts allow them to bury their heads into travelers' palms in Madagascar, and they get the pollen all up on their little ruffs on the side and help transfer and pollinate a bunch of other plants while they're feeding throughout the day. So On top of that, they have some very interesting behaviors. First off, they live in groups that vary in size between 2 to 5. Oh, he thinks I still have some more fruit there. I got you, buddy. So they live in groups between 2 and 5, which are like subgroups, and then they can even have groups that range in sizes of 18 to 30. And they do this to help with combating predators like the fossa, eagles, and snakes. They have up to 12 different vocalizations that they make to ward the rest of the groups of different predators in the area. So these groups are led by the females. They're a matriarchal society, and they're run by the females. The females decide where they are heading and how long they'll be resting and where they'll be resting. They have this weird thing that no other primates actually do with their young. So first off, they can have anywhere between 1 to 6 babies, which is very rare, but has been known to happen. And they actually create nests in the wild, similar to birds, that act as kind of like a daycare system for them to drop off their kids so that the females can go out and forage.
Does anyone have any questions for Eric today?
And if you have any questions about white ruffed lemurs, Scrappy, or any lemurs or Madagascar, please feel free to ask. I'm out of food for you, buddy. So Scrappy here at the zoo gets a varied diet of a bunch of different types of fruits and vegetables, along with a leaf eater diet. And he is one of our calmer lemurs. As you can see, he sits pretty well on my lap.
Emily wants to know, can lemurs swim?
So lemurs generally do not swim. They are almost completely arboreal, so they don't even come down to rivers to even drink water. They get most of their water from the plants and leaves that they eat. So generally speaking, they don't even touch the ground, let alone swim. So like I said, I was in Madagascar when I was studying them, and they definitely make it difficult because they like to stay up or in like 40, 50 foot tall trees, and they can jump 25 feet horizontally from one tree to another. So while you're running through a bunch of thorny vines, they are using their movements in their hands. They have some really good gripping hands, and same as on their feet. As you can see, he's using me as a tree now.
He's like...
So the long tails help with them balancing, and they're able to climb really quickly through the trees, like I said. They also are the second loudest lemur on the island and one of the loudest primates in the world. You can hear their vocalizations and their calls up to almost a mile away. Almost 2 miles away, actually.
Chelsea has a question. Can they be gray and black or gray and white? Question for my 8-year-old little girl.
So these white ruffed lemurs will stay white and black. They do have a cousin, though, that is called a red ruffed lemur. That is a nice burgundy rusted orange color and black with little white creamy tufts in between.
Monica asked, does any animal hunt them?
So yes, they have 3 major predators. Snakes when they're younger, but generally there aren't big enough snakes for adult lemurs in Madagascar. And then they have some eagles are able to get some of the more juvenile lemurs, but their biggest predator in Madagascar and the largest predator on the island is called a fossa. And they're kind of like a cat weasel looking predator. What are you doing up there, buddy?
Are these guys endangered?
So yes, these guys are actually critically endangered. Just due to deforestation and habitat loss, 92% of the rainforest in Madagascar has disappeared. And this has caused all lemurs to become endangered. But this guy specifically is what's known as critically endangered. Could be as little as 1,000 of them left in the wild. So it's very important that we try to save these guys along with every other lemur that's in Madagascar, because we don't know how much longer they'll be able to stay and survive if we keep cutting down and losing forests in their habitat. As you can see, he's sniffing around, smelling the leaves.
Marissa, thank you for joining us. Hello, Joelle. Thank you for joining us today. And you guys see Eric, he was saying how long the tail is, and you can see Eric you're 6'5"?
I'm 6'4", yeah.
He's 6'4", so he's super tall. So when you say that tail going down his back, that kind of puts it in perspective. Eric is a really tall person. Any other questions?
What's up, buddy?
How do they defend themselves? Awesome question.
So, to defend themselves against other lemurs, they can kind of get into little scraps where they'll paw at each other. And they also will use their stink glands that they have to kind of get into stink wars between other territorial lemurs in the area. But generally speaking, as far as predators go, they do not have any defenses. So their best defense is having a large group, which is able to make out different calls for the different predators so that they can react and get out of the area quickly.
Joelle wants to know, can you make him talk to you? Are you thinking like how Eric made Pickles talk to him the other day?
So I cannot get him to call out. Generally speaking, he makes his vocalizations when he hears other loud primates making theirs, or when he hears his cousins, the red ruffed lemurs, making their calls.
Emily wants to know what his name is.
His name is Scrappy. How's it going?
He's like, so many smells.
He's so interesting.
He smells the tree behind you. He's all about the tree. So behind him is a crepe myrtle. And when the crepe myrtles are bloomed, the lemurs actually love to eat the flowers off the crepe myrtles.
So generally speaking, they like the younger leaves and the newly blossomed flowers opposed to older leaves because they're more nutritious for them. So that might be why he's looking at the different leaves and trying to decide which ones are a better choice.
Do the different lemur types interact?
So there are 100 species of lemur that live on the island, and you do have a lot that live in the same area. Although they do live in the same area, they generally don't interact with each other. And due to them each having a different niche in the ecology. They generally eat different foods and are on different seasons on when they breed and when they're looking for certain foods. So they don't really have any disputes between lemur species. They're pretty coexisting.
How long do they live?
So it varies between species, but white ruffed lemurs like him live between 15 and 20 years in the wild and up to 25 years in captivity.
And just so y'all know, he's 9 years old, and we do have a pair of red ruffs here, and they are 15 years old. Christopher, who's 8 years old, wants to know what Scrappy's favorite food is.
So I personally think his favorite food is the oatmeal mixed with a little honey and raisins. He jumps after that when he sees it on his tray, but he gets that more as a treat or a snack. As enrichment.
In the winter time or the cold months here, every morning we make a big thing of hot oatmeal. We don't put regular sugar in it. We put honey, or we'll put raisins in it. So the animals, like pretty much all the primates, have something warm to eat in the morning, just like you guys would have a hot cereal or something. We'll give them hot oatmeal, or we'll do steamed sweet potatoes also. Any other questions? His hands are super cool.
Yeah, if you can see, both his front and his back paws are perfectly made for living in that arboreal tree life out there in the...
Are these the ones that sing? Oh, this is Amber Tatum, so no, you're thinking of the gibbons, who you can hear singing across the way. Yeah.
Their vocalizations sound similar to a really crazy chimpanzee, is the best way I could describe it.
Agreed. But it's short. It's not
It's
a long
short, yeah.
sound. Like the things you were talking about, the gibbons sing, they might sing for, 30 minutes to an hour.
These guys, most of their calls last less than 30 seconds.
Hi, Connie. Thanks for joining us today. How big are the babies? Donovan, who's 8 years old, asks.
So the babies are usually born at about half a pound when they first come out. And then it takes about 70 days before they can start grabbing and clinging to their mothers and being able to walk. That's why they have those daycares and those nests set up. And then it takes about 6 months for them to be fully grown.
Okay, so Melissa, who is 6 years old, wants to know, how do they walk on trees?
So they walk on trees similar to you would see your cat or your dog walking on the ground. They're just more agile and they're able to grip better with their hands. And then they use these big tails to help with balance. They can also hold themselves upside down by their back paws so that they can get those hard to reach fruits and leaves.
So our next question from Emily is, can lemurs see color?
So yes, lemurs can see color. Which it's very beneficial to them because, like I said, they eat fruits. So it helps with being able to tell when the fruits are ripe and when's the best time to pick them and eat them.
Okay, Michael, 8 years old, wants to know, do they have special calls for different food?
So they don't have special calls for certain foods. For the most part, the lead female will just make a call and say it's time to find a new spot to eat, and they'll move with them. But they do have special calls for different types of predators, like birds, snakes, and fossa, and even humans. They have a specific call for.
Okay, here's Joelle's question, but I'll answer it. It says, how is the zoo doing on donations? So we've been real fortunate. I know every time you always hear men, we always mention men, and we've been blessed to have men bring us tons of produce. But believe it or not, we had like 5 cases of bananas. We're pretty much down to the end. So if anyone knows of any places that have produce donations that we can get, or even if you guys have stuff at home, that would be great. We also have on our Facebook page ways to donate. It has a produce list. Also, there's a Venmo, a GoFundMe, and a PayPal. And then we also now put up a YouTube channel. So if you guys are enjoying all these videos, and we've posted other ones besides the ones you're seeing every day, if you guys will subscribe to TGR Exotics Wildlife YouTube page and watch them. It's all about how many hours you get in. And over time, once we get enough subscribers and people watching it, they'll actually pay us. So it doesn't cost you any money. Just your time, which right now we do have a lot of time, so we'd appreciate you giving your time for that. Thank you, Joelle, for asking. So the next question is, Eric, what is your favorite species of lemur? Asked Jay.
So my favorite species has to be the Sifaka. I like the Milne edwardsi Sifaka. They're this big black species of lemur. They live in the same territory as this guy right here, and they're just really cool looking. They have these bright brown or bright orange eyes with this black fur and a little white cream colored patch on their back.
And they walk bipedal versus on all fours, like this lemur that they're seeing.
Yeah, so they actually do what's known as the lemur dance, which is basically like a shuffle sideways through
like
while they're on the
Zaboomafoo.
ground. Yeah, Zaboomafoo, if you've ever seen that.
Okay. Tay, I love wants to know, do they like to move it?
So he does, especially when I'm coming into the cage with the food. You'll see him start spinning and doing circles and walking around in circles until I get in, and then he runs over quickly to the food and jumps up. He gets really excited.
So like he said, Scrappy is very docile. He again is one of our animal ambassadors, so we take out to programs to educate people on the different animals we have here. So that's a way for you guys to see him. When we go to school events, a lot of times we take him for stuff. That's why he's super chill and calm there with Eric. Oh, Connie, you're so funny. She says that she likes to move it as well. But anyways, if you want to join us daily, we have these live on the Wildside at 3 o'clock every day. Tomorrow, we'll do reptiles. Again at 3 o'clock. But if anyone has any last questions before we're done for the day, but if you would go to our website, tgrexotics.com, and look at how you can help us out in any way. I know we all have our own things we're going through right now. But also, like I mentioned the other day, this is a time we're home and we're cleaning and going through our stuff. If you guys are going, clean out your spice cabinet. I know you guys have spices out there that are out of date. And as long as they're not spicy, I mean like cayenne or red peppery, hot. We would love to have those for our animals, because just like Scrappy, they love smell. They like that perfume you got for Christmas that you absolutely hate. They like smells. They like the spices. All kinds of stuff like that. That dried cereal your kids forgot to close and now it's all stale. Our bears like that. Oh, Dawn asks, what does the fur feel like? Amazing.
Oh, it is so soft. It's basically like the fluffiest dog you can think of. Very similar
but
to
the
that.
fur, I know from touching him, he has different feeling furs on his body. Like the one at his tail, like the base of his tail, like the one at the base of his tail, it feels like cotton candy and thick, because that's where they sit. Because if it was super soft and fluffy, like on the back, if they were sitting on it, it would wear off and he would be bald. But the stuff at the very base, right above his tail, is super thick and dense, so it doesn't wear so fast.
Yeah.
And they do shed really bad, just like your cat right now. And you have to give them fur ball stuff. Lemurs need that as well. They will get fur balls. A fur ball can actually kill them. They shed big time, and like he mentioned, those teeth, those comb teeth, they are big time groomers. They're super clean. As you can see, he's white and beautiful. We do not give him a bath, and we do not brush him. He takes care of himself. Oh, let's see. Can you make a Facebook post on all the things we could bring you from home? I would love to bring y'all a box. Awesome, Alexandria. Yes, I have a box that's called, I will post my recycle and reuse. It's stuff that we have at home, because a lot of times we get scout groups and we get schools that like to donate, and donating something doesn't mean having to go out and buy something, because we have all this amazing stuff at home that we don't use and we don't think about. I will post that on our Facebook page. Thanks for asking.
So I'd like to say goodbye to everybody and join us tomorrow for another animal encounter.
Oh my gosh, one last question. Jay just put it up. What is the closest relative in the animal kingdom to the lemur outside the primate family?
Outside of the primate family? I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Because that just,
it doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah, it's something that's been extinct for a while.
But if you have that answer, you are welcome to share that with us.
Yeah, I would love to know. Leave it in the comments after the video.
Thank you so much. See y'all tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.